are now tuned into to Black Death 101, where the streets talk and the reels roll.
This ain't just a podcast, baby. It's a revolution with rhythm.
Rhythm.
Welcome to the Black Death 101 podcast, where the streets talk and the reels roll. We dissect our favorite Blaxploitation films that saved Hollywood and still influence it today. I am your host, Nubius Black, and giving him 5 on the right-hand side, my brother from another mother, Johnny Deth.
Hey, Nubius. And listeners, slide in close, where the concrete sweats and the hustlers dream. We going back to when black heroes were taking the screen by force. This is Black Death 101, and today we ain't whispering, we are shouting the name of Black Caesar.
Yes, this film is literally beat by beat the story of Caesar with a urban point of view. And again, before we get started, spoiler alert, if you didn't see these movies, shame on you. We're here to catch you up. Then maybe you can go back there and investigate it yourself, because this is really gritty, hard-nosed filmmaking. And please like, subscribe, share, and be forewarned, this movie, oh my God, they use a lot of racially charged language in this one. The Italians hold nothing back. I learned bad words that I never heard of before in this film.
It's 1973. Watergate was heating up. Nixon was sweating in the White House, and Vietnam was dragging on. Theaters smelled like popcorn, reefer, and revolution. Blaxploitation was no longer sneaking in the back door. It was kicking it off the hinges. We're talking 1973 Coffee with Pam Grier bringing hell. The Mac preaching street gospel from a gold-plated throne. Superfly TNT, That Man Bolt, Slaughter's big ripoff. This was the year the streets got loud, and Black Caesar took the crown.
Black Caesar was the loudest. The loudest. I can understand to a certain point of view where the NAACP and a lot of the black churches of that time were very turned off by these type of films because it showed black people in a negative light. But that being said, it is what it is. I mean, shit was like that in real life. So they were just, art was imitating life, so to speak. And they were afraid that if the young black people of the time, during these volatile times of the 60s and the 70s and all that, during the revolutionary times, that black people would go out there and get themselves hurt, or, they were getting hurt regardless of what they were watching on television and at the movie theaters. And they were afraid that movies like Superfly and Shaft were showing the criminal lifestyle as the lifestyle to have. And to a point, they had a point where people, not every black child grew up to want to be a drug dealer and a hustler, but they were the heroes of their time, almost a Robin Hood, if you will. Black Caesar is not one of them. Watch this movie and watch the psychology of this man. He is a sociopath. He is no one to cheer for. There are times you want him dead. You really do, because he is a very horrible person. But that's because of the way he was raised. He was literally a product of his environment. And the shit he did and how the story pans out, how he was this poor black kid starting out, became this kingpin of crime who wanted to do right because he was black and was tired of being held down. He literally turned into a white person that he hated the most. And that's what done him in. So give him the lowdown. Give him the overview.
Well, the flick opens in Harlem in the 1950s. There's a kid named Tommy Gibbs. Tommy's shining shoes. He's sharp as a tack. The film opens. He entices a mobster into a shine and then grabs him by the leg as the hitmen approach. He gets paid, goes to deliver an envelope to the top beat cop, and this crooked cop, McKinley, played with full-on hate by Art Lund, breaking bones and spirit in one blow. He cripples young Tommy, but he doesn't finish him. Tommy grows up, learns discipline, and makes plans. And speaking of plans, the plan for this movie is not at all what we ended up getting. Sammy Davis Jr.'s agent approaches Larry Cohen and says Sammy wants to do a serious movie, and Cohen thinks, maybe we do a crime movie. Sammy is kind of a little guy. Edward G. Robinson, all these guys in the Warner Brothers films, Public Enemy, Little Caesar. Yeah, let's do a Little Caesar with Sammy Davis Jr. So he's working on the script. It's pretty much done, and he's taken a meeting with Sam Arkoff at AIP, American International Pictures, one of our favorite production companies. And they say, hey, hold off. What we're looking for is we're looking for like a black film. And he pitches them Black Caesar, and they say, yes, he makes the deal on the spot. But Sammy Davis Jr. is out, and Fred the Hammer Williamson, fresh off Nigger Charlie, and the Hammer is in. So Tommy goes off, makes plans, learns to be a criminal in prison, and comes back like a Greek tragedy in a three-piece suit. It's Fred the Hammer Williamson. And Fred Williamson doesn't act. He commands the screen. He ain't playing Tommy Gibbs. He is Tommy Gibbs. Suave, brutal, righteous, a little bit deranged.
He's
He's
a
a
lot.
hustler turned
He's
kingpin.
fucking scary in this movie because his personality would change on a dime. People today would watch this character, and if you pay attention to Tommy Gibbs's character, he only has a name, Tommy Gibbs, but he's literally like the Joker. He's an anarchist. And, you think he has a plan, and his plan is so batshit crazy that it fucking works. And you bring up Art Lund. This guy, you look at him and go, is he the best cop, the guy to play the racist cop in every fucking film he's in? He makes you believe that shit. And the grittiness that Larry Cohen, the genius of Larry Cohen, who made this fucking film, oh my God, great direction. These actors were chewing the fucking scenery, but Art Lund was great. When you realize this guy used to be a baritone singer for Benny Goodman and all those like type of big bands and shit, and then he just parlays into acting, and he's always playing the evil heavy in westerns and as well as blaxploitation films. But Fred Williamson, I met him at a convention, and this guy is Tommy Gibbs, and Tommy Gibbs is Fred Williamson, because that's no act. When I was with him, and me and Chaos and DJ Academics, we met up with him at a convention, and he was fucking intimidating. I'm not scared of many people. I'm scared of my father. My father, you were bred to, you feared your dad. Everybody else, I took it as for what it was. But this dude was like my dad times two. He still was taller than me. His head was huge. It's like his head was like one of those fucking Home Depot buckets or some shit. His head was humongous. But it made for his height, and he had such a commanding presence. When you went there to a convention and you shot the shit with like a Robert Englund or someone like that at a con, you didn't shoot the shit with Fred, because Fred just looked at you and was like, how many pictures do you want? You told him how many pictures you wanted. You took a picture. He signed the autograph. And you went about your business because you did not want to conversate with him. It wasn't that he wasn't friendly. It was just the aura around him is real. No shit. Fred Williamson is the man.
I tell you, I believe that story from you. I've never met him, but Larry Cohen tells many stories about making this film. And one of them is they send Fred out to go buy his own wardrobe. They figure you pick it out. It's got to be slick. It's got to be stylish. Got to be 1960s. And he comes back with all these suits and the fedora and these ties and sports coats. And Cohen is looking at him in these gorgeous suits. And he says, Fred, this is a low budget film. How much did you spend? And Fred says, just $800. Larry looks at him and says, $800 a suit? He goes, no, $800 for everything. Cohen can't believe it, looks at him again and says, how did you get such great looking clothes for just $800? And Williamson looks him in the eye and goes, everything looks good on me.
He wasn't lying. He was dressed through the nines.
So Tommy comes back, and he's heard that The mob is taking out a hit on one of their own. He walks into the barber shop where the guy is getting shaved and kills him, cuts off the ear, and hooks up with the Italian mob with Don Cardoza, played by Val Avery. And he walks right into where Cardoza's having spaghetti and throws the ear. And by the way, the ear and all the bullet holes and makeup effects in this, a very young Rick Baker. So Don Cardoza, he basically tells Cardoza, I want one block. That's it. You'll still get your tribute. Everyone will know I'm working for you. But when it's time to do a hit, it'll be me. No one will see me because I'm black. But he doesn't stay anyone's lackey for long. Nah, he starts stacking bodies and bank accounts, building an empire with iron fists and a leather glove and a Mauser handgun that had to be pre-World War I, but was the coolest fucking shit I've seen in a long time.
The funny part to me was like the guy, the crooked mobster that the mob wanted to scratch off their ledger. He was like hard. How hard can you be? You're an Italian mob enforcer going into a black fucking barbershop, having a black barber with a straight edge razor shave you. That's how bold he was. Not only that, he's telling the damn barber, like, I should open an all black casino, as he called it, a nigger casino, because niggers always lose. He said, I would make a fortune. And when Caesar goes there, Tommy goes there and kills the guy and cuts off his ear and takes it to the mafioso. The mafioso guy starts using racial slurs like they were off the hook. One sentence, he was calling him a coon. Next sentence, he was calling him a spick. Next sentence, he was calling him a shatter. And then like the obligatory nigger was thrown in there just to make sure he got the Yahtzee. It was insane. And Tommy's character, Tommy Gibbs, the character, did not flinch. Not only did he not flinch, he sat not across from him, but next to him and piled up with him. And that's when the mobster started getting nervous. I mean, everybody's sweating in this film, but goddamn, he was sweating bullets. Not to mention, when he started speaking, Tommy started speaking Italian, the mobster, Cardoza, was now realizing, what the fuck did I just go to bed with?
Every movie, according to Alfred Hitchcock, needs a MacGuffin, something that everyone wants. And in this, it's the ledgers that have listed every payoff to every crooked politician and cop, and Tommy gets the ledgers.
The ledgers, again, like you said, are central to the film because he uses the ledgers as blackmail, because he knows that the ledgers tie into McKinley, his past, the guy who sent him to prison as a child, the guy who brutalized him as a child. This was a long game played to the point where he had so much focus, Tommy did, on McKinley that he lost focus on the big picture. And we'll see that play out throughout the film. Again, I want to mention the soundtrack. James Brown. My God, every song in this movie done by James Brown is telling the story of that scene, which was, again, a great deal that Larry Cohen orchestrated. I thought that was genius. And then you had a song called Big Daddy that Gloria Hendry, the great Gloria Hendry. In this movie, Gloria Hendry, in my opinion, is the heart and soul of this film, and she acts her ass off in this film. Dude, you pity this fucking woman. You want her to run away and escape, but there's nowhere she can go that Tommy can't find her. It is such a fucked up place that she's at, that she's used to get the ledger. And then Fred Williamson's character, Tommy, is so deranged. He thinks that, oh, that's normal and that she'll love me for this. And she fucking despises this man. But what is she to do? She has no help, no one to come to her rescue. She has to rescue herself. It is so and again, the acting. You're literally in tears watching the shit that she's going through. Because she goes through some shit. And there's a song, going back to the soundtrack, we're talking about, there's a song called Big Daddy that she's singing very loud and playing the piano to cover up for the gunshots that she does not know are coming to kill everybody that's surrounding these ledgers. And that song
is the only song.
Well, that song is written by Larry Cohen's wife.
She wrote the song for the scene before they had hired James Brown.
Great song.
Gloria Hendry is fresh off of Black Belt Jones and Live and Let Die. She brings dignity with an edge. At first she's kind of ride or die, but it's because she's afraid to say no. And once the crown's on, he starts swinging that power like a hammer. He controls her, abuses her, he rapes her,
Yeah.
and breaks what made her love him.
It was such a powerful scene. Again, that's one of those scenes that, you're not used to seeing, but in Blaxploitation, they're not exploiting it. They're showing you that that's probably how it would really happen in the gang life. She had nowhere to turn to. My God, when she acted and she cried and the facial expressions that she had on her face, you literally want to reach out to the screen and comfort her. Call me crazy, but that's acting. Acting is when you're good at acting is when you affect the audience so much that it's not just you're being entertained. That when they're in trouble, you feel for that person. And she was in trouble from fucking Jump Street, man. It was not a good fucking scene she was in. She couldn't even run the Reverend Rufus, who was played by our friend Dorvell Martin.
Oh, yeah, Reverend Rufus, the slick-tongued street preacher turned political fixer. Again, you're right, played by none other than Dorvell Martin. And you heard that right. This is the same guy that went on to direct Dolomite. He played Willie Green, and right here he's squeezing Jesus and gangsters into the same offering plate. As always, he can sneer, he smiles big, talks sweet, and collects dirty money in clean suits. Rufus is a symbol of faith for sale, of the system co opted, and of Black institutions eaten from the inside out.
You couldn't have said that better, man. I mean, I had something stupid written down, but that was what else is there to say? You nailed that shit. And the ironic part is it still goes on today. But no one cares to see it because, again, back in the 70s, they were quote unquote exploiting the Black experience and the Black lives. But it brought that shit to light. Not that it did any difference because, again, like I said, it's still going on today. And Black Caesar, his character, he was big, he was bad, he was charismatic. And he wasn't very nice, though. He was a sociopath. That's the only word I wrote in big, bold letters. This man was a sociopath who thought he was the hero of his story. And that's what makes it fucking good. He wasn't his rubbing his hands and wringing his fingers type of villain. He was like an original anti-hero, but only in his own mind because he ruled by fear. That's what he was taught in jail, apparently, because when he came out, he was a fucking monster. And he surrounded himself with big bad Black men like my man Don Pedro Cooley. If you remember him. I remember him in a lot of films, but you gotta look through the makeup. I remember Don Pedro Cooley. He was in Sugar Hill. He played Baron Zamzis. He was in a lot of films, and he was like a really good acting coach. He was in THX 1138, George Lucas's first movie. Like you said, he was in The Legend of Nick or Charlie. He was in that as well. Great actor. He's been around for a long, long time, and he was one of the main actors I seen in this movie that I do remember seeing him in others. There may be other actors in there. Definitely Julia Harris. Julia Harris was played. Dude,
Oh, yeah.
that dude played fucking. Call me crazy. Wouldn't it be great if he was still alive and he played like a character of what's my man's name I met a few years back, and he's a really nice guy as well. Keith David. Can you imagine him and Keith David sharing a scene with those voices? They look like they're like the same person but different ages. Fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Julia Harris is a great actor. Been in a lot of shit. He was in Live and Let Die. Many Blaxploitation films. He's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania here.
Superfly, Trouble
Superfly.
Man.
Yeah.
He's back in Hell Up in Harlem, the sequel,
Yes,
which
he
we will
is.
get to.
And he's even crazier than his kid in this movie. We'll get to that. But yeah,
Yeah.
great movie.
Oh, man.
So
You there?
what else does this film have in store for us? Because it's fucking a lot to talk about.
Well, Tommy climbs fast, but the air up there is thin. The Italians want him out. The cops are closing in. And McKinney comes back to settle old scores. Joe, Tommy's right-hand man, betrays him with Helen. And then Helen sets him up and walks away. Rufus cashes that last prayer, and the empire collapses.
In a big way. I mean, the way it was set up that, the mob, the Italian mob was going after him because of what he did to our friend Cardoza. But through the magic of cinema and teleportation, all the black assassins ends up in California, and they have one of the best fucking death scenes I've ever seen. Shooting out. These mobsters weren't prepared for this shit. They were at a pool party, apparently with only men, because there were only half naked men standing around eating cheese and lunch meat in the backyard by the pool. And it is bloody.
That scene was shot at Larry Cohen's house, as were most of the scenes and interiors.
I'm sitting there going, is that Larry's house? Because this is the same house from Bone with
Yes.
Yaphet Kotto. And they really didn't change anything about this house. It's the same house. But it is a great scene. It's shot in slow motion. And you're shooting all these fucking people. And then no cops show up. They just throw the bodies in the fucking water of the swimming pool. But there's some quotes in this movie where Caesar says to McKinley, he says, you gave me my education, and I'm going to put your kids through college. How fucking cold is that? If you ain't paying attention in this film, you ain't going to get the context of that. The education that McKinley gave Caesar was, I'm going to whoop your ass and tell you who's right and who's wrong, and that the whitey is always right. And then I'm going to put you in jail. And then when he went to jail, he got his jail education of how to turn the tables on the man. Gets out of jail, gets the ledgers, manipulates McKinney, and then says, I'm going to still do you a favor and keep putting money in your ledger so you can send your kids to school. That was one of the most fucked up things next to buying somebody's apartment with all their clothes and shit in it.
Yeah. So they pay off McKinley for now, because Tommy wants him all fatted up when he finally comes in for the kill. And he goes back with his attorney and new partner to the attorney's apartment, which happens to actually be Larry Cohen's mother's apartment. But that's beside the point. And he goes in there and he hands him a check already filled out and says, get out. You're not even packing. I want your clothes. I grew up wearing your clothes. Now I want your whole apartment, everything. And the lawyer's like a little worried and isn't ready to do it. But the wife, who was played by a former Miss World, takes one look at that check and says, we're on our way out, and tries to get out with her leopard coat. But Tommy grabs that off her back, kicks them on out. And the next morning, you find out that this family, the lawyer's family, that their housekeeper for years and years was Tommy's mom. And he gives the whole apartment and everything to her. And he literally really was wearing the clothes off his back, because his mom would get the worn out clothes, the hand-me-downs, to bring home to Tommy.
It was a really hard scene to watch. I mean, you watch that shit and you can see the acting of Fred Williamson is so understated. He's acting in this film. He thinks he's doing the right thing. He thinks he's saving his mom. You will never have to work again. This house you worked in for years to support us, I own it now. And I own everything in it. And she just can't handle it. And she's like blown away by it, like that revelation that my son bought this place, but I work here. I worked here for years. And Myra Henson, she was gorgeous. She didn't have a big part, but my God, she was a good looking woman back in her day. And it just was heartbreaking because Tommy, again, he thinks he's doing the right thing. And when he finally reveals his plan to his mom cries. And that's the one thing he did not expect to see, that his mom would not accept this shit. And as we know, fast forward, she dies of a broken heart. It is such a fucking sad, poignant scene. My God.
She literally goes crying to Reverend Rufus, begging him to pray for Tommy. And then she dies of a broken heart.
It is wow, yeah, man. Again, this movie has a lot of heavy lifting you gotta do watching this shit, man. If you in there just for the action and adventure, you're gonna get that. But you're gonna have to sit still for the quiet scenes, and these quiet scenes will fuck you up because it's something I don't care what color you are, you're gonna relate to that shit. You don't wanna see your mom cry, especially if you think you're doing the right thing. And that's the whole thing about Tommy. He thinks he's doing the right thing. He thinks he's doing the right thing by Joe. But everything Tommy touches, it seems that he fucks it up. He doesn't realize it, but he's fucking up everybody's life over the way he was treated as a youth. And it just came off as a really fucked up scene, man. It's acting. The acting in this movie, I'm sorry. This movie is better than it should be. And I thank the actors and I thank Larry Cohen.
And it's action-packed. The body count in this film is incredibly high. There's a great chase at the end, but right before we get there, Tommy comes back because he's gonna get those ledgers. He's been gut shot on the street, much the same way when he was a kid, he used to hold on to someone's leg while they got shot. Someone grabs him and another guy shoots him. But before they can finish him off, he goes wandering down the street in a daze. And these are the very first shots from day one of shooting. They had a taxi they hired for the shoot. That's how they were going to get around. Their cameraman is leaning out of the cab, getting those shots of Tommy wandering down the street. Some of them, they're shooting from a second-story window. The reaction of the people on the street to Fred Williamson, who looks like he's been gut shot, looks like there's something physically wrong with this poor guy. These are all real reactions.
Yeah.
You hear the bad guys say you got to get to him or get him into that ambulance and we'll finish him off, and you see an ambulance coming. They heard the sirens, so they quickly set up the camera and got a shot of an ambulance coming. That wasn't their ambulance. That's just guerrilla filmmaking.
At its best.
Yeah, Tommy makes it into this taxi. There's a chase downtown.
The chase was even funnier because of the ADR, the additional dialogue recording. You hear Tommy talking and Tommy's mouth is not moving, but it adds to it though. It just
Yeah.
brings back that 70s flavor because they did that a lot in the 70s where they would throw ADR in there just to enhance that scene. Kenneth Johnson did it a lot in all his films, like The Bionic Woman, $6 Million Man, Incredible Hulk. All 70s shows, you would always hear that ADR guy up. What the hell is that? What's going on? But you never see who's saying that shit. It's always played in the background, but it adds to the flow of the scene. And like you said, when Fred Williamson is stumbling down the middle of fucking Times Square and all his shit is going on, he's in a white part of town. Let's call it that. This is the 70s. This ain't the fucking Disney-fied version of Times Square that you see today. This is where it was all white shoppers, all white pedestrians and civilians walking around. Fred Williamson is the only black person in frame. So he stands out. Not only is he black, he's bleeding from the fucking stomach. And like you said, with that guerrilla filmmaking, it looks so goddamn real. The reactions of the people seeing this shit is like, oh my God, a black guy got shot. I'm not getting involved. No, nobody fucking bothered to help him. He stumbled around town. And when he got into that cab and they did the cab scene, what I thought was funny, it looked like did the cab just drive around the block? Because he ended up in the same part of fucking town pretty much, or down the street towards Harlem, where he had to stumble out into Harlem eventually for like that full circle moment. But my God.
There's one scene, though, we have to talk about. The culmination of Tommy and McKinley's story. Tommy gets to his lawyer's office. His best friend is laying on the floor, dead. His lawyer is sitting in the chair, dead. McKinley's there and gets the drop on him. And what does McKinley do? He's brought an old-style shoe shine kit, and it's sitting there under the American flag. He wants Fred Williamson, he wants Tommy, one last time while you're sitting here dying to shine my fucking shoes. And Tommy starts shining those shoes, and he's crouched down in front of that American flag with that shoe shine kit, and he starts really shining them up. And then, bam, he snaps that rag, punches McKinley in the stomach, disarms him, gets the drop on him, and then he starts taking that black shoe shine and rubbing it onto McKinley's face, putting him in blackface so that his relatives will find him there. And I think what we're seeing are the characters finally changing places.
Yes, yes. I agree 100% because it was not only visual, it was very symbolic of now you're going to shine my shoes after all these years of me being at the bent knee towards white people, especially a crooked cop like McKinley, who's now commissioner of the police. You have Gibbs, he got his ledgers back and he made McKinley, after putting all this shoe shine on his face, sing a minstrel song from Al Jolson. Made him sing Mammy while he beat the fucking piss out of him with a shoe shine stand. I mean, if that doesn't scream symbolism, nothing does. This movie is very symbolic. It has a lot of that shit, but then again, the original story of Caesar and the fact of how he lived his life too, where he came up from nothing, became the big guy, only to be taken down by smaller guys. Because we're going to get to that. He gets taken down by smaller guys. But Tommy fucks over all of his friends. He fucks over Joe, and Joe was with him through thick and thin. And just because here's a scene that really hurt me. It did. He sends Joe and Helen away to California so they would not get hurt of what's to come, only to get jealous to teleport to LA to beat the shit out of Joe and Helen. You see what I'm saying? Tommy's
Yep.
not a good guy. He's a sociopath. No doubt about it. And
They
he
were
doesn't
safe
see it.
in California from everybody except from Tommy.
Exactly. That's the sad part. And Tommy doesn't see himself as the villain. It is very fucked
No.
up. And some of the, like, I had a quote down here that I just thought it was funny. It was like, all the King's men, they slowly took and scratched, the mafia did, all of Tommy's fucking backup. All of them. Really good death scenes, too, where they did like a collage of death, if you will. One by one, they were taken out and scratched off the board. If Tommy didn't know, if he didn't know, and that's one thing. But if he did know, he didn't show that he gave a fuck. Because Tommy's insane. And with the symbolism of him being shot in the middle of, in broad daylight in Times Square, where white people could give a fuck about him and left him out there to die. But Tommy is so fucking filled with rage, he would not die. He kept on
No.
going till he got to McKinley. It's really fucked up. And then Joe still went out to try to save him. And McKinley killed Joe in the elevator. Dude, anybody who watches this movie again and doesn't fucking see some of the shit that's going on in here of how Tommy is dealing with shit by not dealing with it, he figures if someone gets killed, I'm going to kill somebody else. That'll make it better. And it doesn't. It's just weird, man. That was the most realistic part of this film, that, what they say, when you have revenge, you dig two graves. Fucking Tommy needed to dig about 75 fucking graves, because this guy just did not fucking give a fuck. He was insane. The shit that he was doing is so fucked up. And you felt bad for everybody around him. You felt bad for Tommy. You felt bad for Helen. And the two people who really needed to fucking clash in this conflict was McKinley and Tommy Gibbs. And it just does not end well for none of them. No one gets out of this movie unscathed.
That clash does not disappoint. And from there, Tommy is bleeding and limping and crawling through Harlem like Caesar stabbed on the Senate steps in Rome. It ain't subtle. It's literally Shakespeare dipped in hot grit. But you know what? Despite how the film was originally supposed to end, with Tommy being killed by a gang of kids, and if you watch it today on video, that's the ending you're going to see. But 3 days before the film was to open in Manhattan, They did a sneak preview in Los Angeles, and the audience was pissed that Tommy dies at the end. And Larry Cohen calls Sam Markoff, and Sam Markoff says, "You see, I was right. You shouldn't have killed him." So Cohen gets on a plane and flies to New York. He goes to the Cinerama Theater in New York, where the first show is at noon, and the projectionist shows up at 10 a.m. He goes up to the booth, explains what's going on, and the projectionist allows him, he doesn't know who this guy is, but allows him to cut from the scene where Tommy is looking up at his old house to where the end credits start to roll. And the film is a hit because he doesn't die at the end. But we today still get to see that original ending because the prints were already struck and they cut the scene out manually. They never fucked with the original negative. And when the film finally opened in Europe 9 months later, the title was changed to Godfather of Harlem, and those shots were back in the movie. But we all know that Tommy didn't die. Hell Up in Harlem drops the same year. Fred returns, guns blazing, with more vengeance and more funk. It's a louder, messier film, but it still packs that raw Harlem fire. Tommy back from the dead taking names. And this time he knows the crown comes with a curse. And we're going to get to that in the near future.
Yeah, Hell Up in Harlem is a direct sequel to this film, and you'll get to hear and see a lot of the same actors that were in this film as well that survived the carnage, especially Julius Harris. He goes fucking bonkers in the next film. But like you said, we're gonna get to that. But to quote the great villain in this film, what did he say? Art Lund says, "I ain't worrying about you because you'll be one dead coon by the end of the week." And I just thought that was the funniest scene. And then what Tommy says to the next mob head man, because killed off Cardoza, and he says, "You need me to be in Harlem to keep all the niggas and the Puerto Ricans in check." And they were like, "Well, why would we pick you?" He says, "You need a jungle bunny to run the jungle." So he flips that fucking insult, and I'm like saying, that's some fucked up shit. But yeah, he's right. But
Black Caesar ain't just another gangster flick, not just another urban crime film. It's a parable about systems that chew you up, the cost of revenge, and how power without love is just another kind of prison. And I say we give it up for Fred Williamson, the Hammer, the untouchable Derville Martin, slick and serpentine as the preacher, Gloria Hendry, queen of heartbreak and strength, and Art Lund, hateful and unforgettable as that racist cop.
they got me in all the feels, man. If you can watch a movie where you're fucking excited for the action, you're nervous about the drama and the suspense, and you feel for the characters who are in peril, and you hate the villain, you fucking nailed it, man. You nailed it. And I think, this is one of the best Larry Cohen films that he ever made, in my opinion. I just fucking love this film so much. And it's one of those films that you can't watch it every now and again. It's like a once a year, maybe once every 2 years, because it's raw. It touches
Yeah.
nerves. If you are a human being, this movie will touch nerves that you didn't know you had. So I advocate that everyone listening to the sound of our voices to just go out and just watch this film, man. Even if again, if you ain't even down with shit like this, without this movie, you wouldn't have gotten New Jack City. Come on. New Jack City is a total fucking ripoff of this movie, and New Jack City is a good
Hell
movie.
yeah.
Am I wrong or not? This is New Jack City before New Jack City even fucking, was itching his daddy's pants. It was such a good movie. And again, hats off to all the actors, Larry Cohen filming this. Hats off to Larry Cohen's house, his wife writing music. It's just good, man. I really enjoyed this movie. I'm glad you picked it out. But again, what we gonna see next week, man? Because this movie is. What more can you say about it? You could talk about it all day, but we didn't got all day. We got other films to watch. What we got next?
Well, next we're coming up in October, and I'm thinking we start off October that first week with Sugar Hill and her zombie hit squad.
Oh, Sugar Hill is a great movie. You will get to see our fellow fan that's in this film, Don Pedro Cooley, playing Baron Zamzis. And with Sugar Hill, which I found also is a great movie, in the fact that the star of Sugar Hill, Marky Bay, she didn't do a lot. She didn't do a lot, but goddamn, Sugar Hill, she's another one of these. What's with these black actresses and actors of the 70s that you can't take your eye off of them no matter what they're fucking doing, no matter how ridiculous it is? It's Marky Bay fucking commanded that shit, man. She was so she was sexy, she was vulnerable, and again, she played all the fucking emotions in this movie. For a movie about fucking zombie slaves killing the mafia. That's what this movie's about. And so, with such a crazy pretense as that, but again, Marky Bay is a great actor, and she portrays all the fucking great emotions in this film. And Betty Ann Race playing Celeste, the racist fucking white chick. Oh my God, I can't wait.
Neither can I. And until then, class, remember, don't let your empire eat your soul. Don't trust a preacher with gold rings. And if James Brown is on the track, you better be ready to dance or die trying. This is Black Death 101, where the cinema, soul, and street justice walk hand in hand.
So check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, do all that good shit. And we'll see you back next time on the Black Death 101 podcast.
Stay funky, stay sharp, stay dangerous, and we'll see you same black time,
same black channel.
Peace.
He was just a shoe shine boy on the Harlem street, polishing dreams till they sparkled on his feet. But the world don't give what it won't let you make, so he learned to hustle, learned how to take. He rose like smoke from the city flame, put the king's crown on a dirty name. Black Caesar, power in his palm, but the streets don't care, they stay cold and calm. Suit sharp like a blade, fedora tilted low, built an empire from pain, from blood, from blow. He made the man kneel, flipped the whole game, but the higher he climbed, the more the fire came. His mama prayed, but prayers can't block no bullet. His brother begged, but greed's too loud to dull it. Enemies smile, fake friends in the frame. When you rule with iron, they all play the same. Black Caesar, from nothing to the throne, but every king gotta die alone. Black Caesar, Harlem's golden ghost, got the crown, but he lost the most. The limo's gone cold, the money's gone thin. A king without love got no way to win. He stared at the skyline, lit one last cigar, but power don't shine when you forget who you are. Ooh, he was the king of the night, but even stars fall out of sight. Black Caesar.